Book 1 Chapter 1 Megacity 1 Judge Dredd got 10 minutes of sleep before he was back on duty patrolling the streets on his Lawmaster motorcycle. He unconsciously rode to Regent Tower and grimaced when he realized his location. There was a killing in the tower a week ago. A woman claimed she opened the door to the wrong apartment thinking it was hers and shot the occupant because she thought that he was an intruder. The case got more bizarre when the autopsy was done and the victim's DNA was found to be pre-nuclear Holocaust and directly from Africa. That was strange because Megacity 1's population had traces of radiation in their DNA from the nuclear fallout. Furthermore, there was no travel between North America and Africa by citizens. Unless the victim landed in Brazil, made the trek up through Central America, survived the wastelands of the defunct United States and then sneaked into the city. Megacity 1 ran along the entire eastern seaboard, so there were multiple gaps on the border wall that were exploitable. Still, the victim had slim odds of surviving that journey, which made Dredd question if there was an alternative reason for the victim being in the city. A search of the apartment found nothing out of the ordinary other than a short and slender crystal. The scientists at the Department of Justice were baffled by it, and the exorcist judges wanted to examine it as well because of its mystical properties. Judge Dredd walked into the victim's apartment and met a dark-skinned woman who had ceremonial tattoos on her shaven head. She was beautiful and her demeanor was that of a quiet storm. Judge Dredd rested his hand on his side gun. "What is your name, citizen?" asked Dredd. "Okoi." "Why are you here?" "I am the new tenant. The penalty for trespassing is 3 months in an isolated cell. 8 months for lying to a judge and the death penalty for resisting arrest. Your accent makes me believe that you are from outside the city, that's why I broke down the law to you. This is your last chance to speak the truth." "What are you doing here?" asked Judge Dredd. Chapter 2 T'Challa the Black Panther emerged from his invisibility cloak mode and shoved his hand beneath the visor of Judge Dredd's helmet. T'Challa's gloved hand emitted a vapor that made Dredd collapse. "Take my hand," said T'Challa to Okoi. She did so and they were teleported to the roof of the tower. "I did not know that you followed me," said Okoi. "Shuri tracked your dimension hop from Wakanda." "I just followed your scent when I got here," replied T'Challa and asked, "What is this about?" "This is one of my tasks to pay off the blood debt to the Jabari Queen. There was a mutant Jabari who traveled the multiverse through his gift and he kept in constant rapport with his family with the crystal communicator. A week ago his family lost contact, so they asked the Queen to help find him. I was chosen and sent here through mysticism," replied Okoi. "From what I have seen so far, this is a police state," said T'Challa, and he pointed to the tallest skyscraper that was the headquarters for the judge enforcers. "The man in the apartment is a law enforcement officer. He probably wanted to recheck the crime scene," said Okoi. "What happened in the apartment?" asked T'Challa. "The neighbors said that the mutant was killed due to mistaken identity by another tenant. I don't believe that because the day before he was killed the mutant told his family that he was being followed," replied Okoi. "Where is the other tenant?" "She is in an isolation cell for the charge of murder." "I need to take the remains of the mutant back to his family," said Okoi. "I will hack the city's computer systems to assist our movements," said T'Challa. "The thing that was following the mutant might also be lurking," said Okoi. "If we are lucky it will start following us," said T'Challa. Chapter 3 Judge Dredd woke up and contacted the Department of Justice. "Has anyone claimed the remains of Case YDNM?" he asked. "No, Judge." "Send facial recognition scans to my Lawmaster of all the people in Regent Towers on all 1,000 floors in the last 2 hours. Include the roof too," said Judge Dredd, and then he described Okoi to the computer that he spoke to. His investigation was hampered by his work on other crimes during the day. Late into the night, he received a notification that the body of the apartment killing victim was missing, and so too the crystal. Dredd resumed his scan for Okoye on the surveillance footage, and when he found her face, it was put on an all-points bulletin for the street judges. He went to the labs to find out how the crystal disappeared, but was astonished to find out that the culprit was a clerical error. The crystal was transferred to the Exorcist Division and was addressed to Judge Phobe when it should have been Judge Phobia. There was no judge with the name Phobe in the service. The excuse was nonsensical to Dredd, and he requested disciplinary action be taken against the officer in charge of the transfer. He went to the morgue and was informed that the computer system discharged the victim's body without standard process because an override protocol was used. The Cyber Division was investigating the breach. Was the officer who mixed up the names also duped, or the Exorcist Division infiltrated? Dredd pondered. On his Lawmaster computer he finally came across the footage from the Regent Tower's roof. He studied how T'Challa and Okoye conducted themselves. They were definitely outsiders and had formal military training. A crime in progress bulletin interrupted Dredd. Witnesses report of a disfigured woman with a crystal performing a ritual in Section 301 at the pit border. Dredd sent a broadcast on the network which stated that he would take the case. His name carried weight in the street division, so even judges closer to the scene gave way to his demand. Dredd took shortcuts through the overcrowded city and he finally arrived at the pit. It was the worst part of the slum city. He met a humanoid creature at the crime scene. There were eyeballs on her shoulders, the face was wrinkled and the back permanently hunched over. The crystal glowed in her hand. Dredd wondered if she was connected to Okoye. "Don't come any closer, Judge, else you will travel with me to the shores of despair." 4 threats to a judge, 6 months. 4 loitering, 2 weeks. 4 possession of stolen property, 4 years. "Those are your sentences," said Dredd. The hag thrust the crystal into her stomach and strange illuminated lines formed on her body. The lines reminded Dredd of the border markings that separated zones on the city maps. Then he remembered the teleportations that T'Challa performed on the roof. "She is crossing dimensions," muttered Dredd. He needed to solve the case, so he grabbed her arm. "Thank you for doing that. We needed the sacrifice of a willing and strong life force for the spell to work," said a second hag who appeared behind Dredd and held his wrist. "Now we go to Judge Wakanda," said the hags. "No," said another woman. "You will not enter Wakanda." Chapter 4. Shuri dashed at hyperspeed at Judge Dredd and the witches. She broke the judge away from the creatures. T'Challa's sister then pulled out the crystal from the first hag and beheaded the second one. "Explain this to me," said Judge Dredd. "What is Wakanda?" "Forget that you ever heard of it," stated Shuri. Dredd blinked and then she was gone. He called for backup from the Exorcist Division. After the witches were placed into custody, he went to the Science Division and applied for the use of the dimensional teleporter on the grounds that he will escort a scientist to a new world called Wakanda. He was asked how the coordinates for Wakanda were to be found. The exorcists were able to catch the gateway frequency that was still fresh at the crime scene of the witches, replied Dredd. "But we don't need you as an escort," said the head of the division. "A body was stolen, computers hacked, and evidence removed from the Department of Justice. And the motive for a murder remains unresolved. The answers are in Wakanda and the law will find them one way or the other," replied Dredd. Book 2 Chapter 1. The board members of the Omniverse Avengers comprised of T'Challa, his sister Shuri, his ex-wife the Goddess Storm, his best ally Reed Richards and Reed's son Franklin. "I table that T'Challa be formally made the chairman of the board at this time," said Reed Richards. The suggestion was accepted and then the board moved on to more important matters. In the anticipation of the new interdimensional laws and memorandum of understandings that will soon occur, we need to have strategies in place to enforce them, said T'Challa. Admittedly, I did not think about that before when I organized the first intergalactic/interdimensional treaty, but T'Challa and I have talked it over and I agree with his concerns, said Reed. So what are the strategies? Asked Storm. A police force and a network of informants to ensure that breakers of the treaties are caught and punished, replied T'Challa the Black Panther. Where are these law enforcers to be recruited from? Asked Shuri. From the multiverses, replied T'Challa. My father had me do some scans of the alternate dimensions with the most spikes and probabilities of generating individuals who will challenge the treaties, said Franklin. The homegrown enforcers from those alternate dimensions will be contacted and asked to join the network, said Reed. Reed and I are building several gateway hubs for the network to use, said T'Challa. Franklin will now show us the candidates, said Reed. T'Challa had not seen the list beforehand, so he was surprised to see that Judge Dredd was one of the holographic images that floated above the table. I will take Judge Dredd, said T'Challa. The other candidates were a black-suited alien living on an alternate Earth, a pacifist mystic with a saber of light, an autonomous transforming robotic organism, and a renegade ghoul who was spawned from darkness. The board members left on their respective assignments and T'Challa teleported to the dimension of Judge Dredd. T'Challa was familiar with the world due to a past encounter, so he was able to use his Kimoyo interface to hack the computer network of the police enforcement system which ruled Dredd City. T'Challa found Judge Dredd's residence and went to it. The apartment was in one of the skyscrapers that were cities unto themselves. The apartment had basic sleeping and seating arrangements. The only thing of meaning was a best uncle in the world card that was in the handwriting of a child. The card was taped to the ceiling in the living room. T'Challa called the dispatch service of the judge's police force. What is your emergency? Asked the operator. I want to report a disturbance, replied T'Challa. Where? At the residence of one Judge Joseph Dredd. Tell him that Wakanda wants a word with him. Chapter 2. T'Challa read through the hacked file on Dredd and was about to finish it when the man in question arrived at the apartment. T'Challa's hyper-awareness painted a picture of Dredd easing up to the door with his firearm drawn. A gas grenade and a flare were the major sense that T'Challa got from the gun. Seconds later the door opened and a bright flash erupted in the room, followed by a heavy gas that reduced visibility tremendously. Then there was something that T'Challa only picked up when it was activated. It was a teleportation belt. The device was not standard issue to the judge enforcers, so it must have been added to Dredd's arsenal for this encounter. Dredd's scent disappeared from the door and reappeared in the kitchen. Anderson, do you sense him? Dredd whispered and T'Challa heard it. T'Challa felt a telepathic probe that was not meant to enter his mind but just to pinpoint his location. Dredd was peak human and he moved quickly to where T'Challa stood in his invisibility mode. Stop! You have learned from our last meeting, said T'Challa. But like I said, I want a word with you. You Wakandans think you are above the law of my city, said Dredd, who wore a gas mask. In Wakanda I make the laws, said T'Challa. So did I once at the Justice Department. I saw that on your record. It must have been hard to give up all that power of being chief judge. What do you want? Have the interdimensional probes finally got your attention? They have become nuisances since we have to keep repelling them. I read the last report from you about being frustrated with the failure to launch the mission to Wakanda because all the preliminary work is being hampered, replied T'Challa. You came to gloat. I am here to offer you a position. You are a piece of work. I interrupted my case on catching a child predator for this, said Dredd. Then let me help. You have no jurisdiction here. On my Earth I supplement law enforcement in apprehending criminals. I do not support or work with vigilantes. Show yourself out. Dredd left the apartment and T'Challa followed him from a distance in the invisibility mode of his uniform. "Can I speak to you?" asked the woman telepathically to T'Challa. "What is your name?" asked T'Challa. "Judge Anderson. I am guessing that you are a mutant." "That will be correct." "Are you a friend of Dredd?" "He does not have friends, but I am a close associate. I need to speak with him again." "Can you arrange it?" "What for?" "You have shown nothing but contempt for the law just because you have the power to do so. I was taking care of Wakanda business when contact was first made with Dredd." "No, you were showing clout." "Where is Wakanda exactly?" "When Dredd accepts my offer, then all those things will be known. I will need more than that to convince him." "That is all I am giving," said T'Challa. Chapter 3 T'Challa ran alongside Dredd's Lawmaster motorcycle on the Tube Express while Dredd conversed with the onboard AI about the child predator who was a film producer in Mega City 1. Dredd drove off the tube and onto the surface of a mini lake as a shortcut. T'Challa activated his vibranium boots molecule condenser, which give him the ability to stay with Dredd on the water while being undetected. What Dredd was unsure of with the case was if the film producer was being framed. As the embodiment of the law in the police state, Dredd had to investigate all sides of the case before he passed judgment. The film producer had been cooperative with Dredd's questioning and had countered that the parents of the accuser should be investigated. Dredd went to the server's community where citizens hooked up themselves to an online virtual community to experience simulated neighborhoods and lives. The parents of the accuser were awakened by Dredd from their cyber cubes for him to interview them again. "Your daughter is a fake computer construct from the virtual community and the law does not cover a non-person," said Dredd. "I cannot pursue your accusation." "That is not right," said the parents. "Also, apparently your popularity in the virtual community was bolstered when the accusations came out. A donations account was created by you and it has received a lot of monetary support," said Dredd. "Are you saying that we staged a publicity stunt?" asked the husband. "The guy is a child predator even if it was done in a virtual world," said the wife. "He is a threat to the real society." "I make the pronouncements, citizen," said Dredd. T'Challa saw the dilemma and made it known when Dredd left the couple. "This is why you need vigilantes," said the Black Panther. "We need better laws, not people like you," said Dredd. "And how long will it take to pass a new cyber law? The guy has to be stopped immediately." "So where you come from, vigilantes go about executing people based on their personal codes of justice?" "Yes, in some instances. I cannot sentence a person unless I am 100% sure that he is guilty. That is the responsibility I have, or else the system fails for everyone involved," said Dredd. "I read the case file and it was deemed by the telepathic judges that the accused is indeed a potential offender in the real world," said T'Challa. "But they are not 100% sure." "That is the problem," said Dredd. "Give him over to me and I will take him to Wakanda to deal with him there." "I cannot do it. And I cannot turn a blind eye to this person." "Don't be stupid. I came to offer a chance to keep the interdimensional law in this alternate reality. Criminals with my level of power will show up eventually and I want to have you ready to deal with them," said T'Challa. "But I see that your code will be problematic. I made a wrong decision in choosing you." "It happens." Chapter 4 Wakanda. How goes it with Judge Dredd? asked Shuri. "He is stubborn," replied T'Challa. "It is the same with Superman." "We should swap candidates and the shift in approaches might work," said Shuri. "It is worth a try," said T'Challa. Shuri went to Mega City 1 and she followed a tracker that T'Challa had placed on Dredd's motorcycle. He was in a shootout with a gang and Shuri observed how Dredd took down the gang through his speed, strength, and accuracy. A tank came to collect the bodies and the survivors. Shuri took the opportunity to snatch Dredd and brought him to Wakanda. They appeared on the head of a colossal Black Panther robot that guarded the capital. "Are you people out of your freaking minds?" asked Dredd. "Not us, but you are, because you live in a cesspool city and choose to do so. And trust me, it will get worse in time, not only for your city but the entire planet. We are offering a chance to prevent that and you are not freaking taking it," replied Shuri. "You and the guy are very vague on the nature of these coming threats. The guy is T'Challa, the leader of Wakanda, and I am his sister Shuri, the head of national defense. As for the looming threats, I cannot go into details right now, but that should not prevent you from protecting your entire planet. Look at Wakanda. Don't you want your world to look like this? Who would not want non-polluted air, clean drinking water and peace?" asked Dredd. "Join us and Wakanda will help you reach those goals," said Shuri. T'Challa appeared next to Dredd and Shuri. "Have you accepted?" asked T'Challa. "In principle," replied Dredd. 1 hour later, Dredd received a call from Anderson about the child predator. "The perp was dumped in front of the insane asylum," said Anderson. "How come?" "He keeps rambling on about a giant cat monster hunting him down," replied Anderson. "Do you know anything about it?" "No, but keep me posted," said Dredd and grinned knowingly.